get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Shaun Clark of HighLevel. Before I formally introduce you, Shaun, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. Since this is part of the Top SaaS series, I did one with one of the founders of Zapier, Wade Foster. You could check that out. It was a really interesting interview on how and what they did to grow. Also, one of the founders of Pipedrive. Pipedrive, I think at the time, Shaun, they were doing 10,000. They had 10,000 customers. Now they have over 100,000 customers. Also, there's someone, since Shaun has an amazing, CRM full service software. They also have a conference, a summit, right? And so part of the conference one, you could check out the one I did with Joey Goon. He creates heart-centered experiences. He actually carried on the tradition of Utopia experiences after his mom passed away. I was at an EO conference, Shaun, like there's huge screens and like amazing setup. And I went up like, who did this? And Joey's company actually is behind the scenes doing cool. All the running around the background. So, and people we're going to pull up Shaun's summit, which is a HighLevel summit. And maybe Joey's someone you could talk to on that. James Thompson also started Prosper Show with Chad Rubin and Joe Hansen. They ended up growing it and selling it to a publicly traded company, actually, and it's like for Amazon sellers. So that and many more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise25. Rise25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. We do this in two ways. One, we help companies launch and run a podcast. So we're an easy button for a company to do that. We do the strategy, accountability, and kind of the full execution and production. And number two, we're an easy button for your company's gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind with clients, partners, and prospects simple, seamless. For me, Shaun, I also wanted it to be affordable, so I can send gifts to my staff and clients and partners like a couple times a year for years to come. So we're kind of like the magic elves that run in the background to make it easy for the company to build more relationships with podcasting and gifting. So you can check out more at rise25.com or email us support@rise25.com. I'm excited to introduce, Shaun, your name kind of pops into my, whether it's on social or my inbox at least once a week with HighLevel. So I can't get away from you. So
I apologize,
Shaun,
I'm stalking you.
No, you just have a lot of evangelists, which is an amazing way, and we're going to talk about that, how you create raving fans. And, Shaun Clark's the co-founder and CEO of HighLevel, which is a powerful all-in-one white-labeled marketing platform. And it's designed to help businesses capture, nurture, and convert leads effortlessly. And HighLevel helps businesses automate the communication. They offer tools for lead generation, messaging, payment, analytics, scheduling, really like pretty much everything I've seen, that you can do is what people use HighLevel for. And what's interesting is this isn't his first rodeo, right? He actually founded several other companies before this in the SaaS space, one of which is, InvoiceSherpa, which was a platform to help businesses collect overdue invoices. And Shaun and his co-founders were actually named finalists for the Entrepreneur of the Year Southwest Award by Ernst & Young. So, Shaun, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks. Great to be here.
Just, talk about HighLevel and what you do. And as you're doing that, I am going to pull up your website so people can poke around.
Well, it's funny because that actually has changed quite a bit. So, when we first got started, it was really about helping Facebook marketers go out and convert leads. And these days, we're now the second largest marketing automation platform in the world, second only to Salesforce. Just recently passed HubSpot in size. And wow. So we're now a very large sales and marketing CRM, and very quickly going to be moving into the product or project management space in the back half of this year. As we've pretty much completed almost all the features you could imagine in sales and marketing and CRM.
I want to hear about the evolution, right? Because where you
Yeah,
started, I know, is not where you are now. And you mentioned the Facebook
yeah, for
market.
sure.
Talk about the idea when you started, and then we'll talk about like
Oh
what
yeah.
you did as you grew
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what you
yeah. So
added.
that has also evolved quite a bit. So when we first started, actually, our mission was to help small businesses grow. And we literally were selling into SMBs directly through with two features, two-way text messaging and reputation management. And very quickly we found that while that idea was really exciting to them, once they bought the software, their ability to execute on it was very poor. And they would come back to us and say, well, we love the software, it does everything you said it would do, but we're going to have to cancel it because we don't have the time to actually figure this out or implement in our business, this and that. And it was very confusing to my co-founder and I, because of course we're two software engineers and you can't code out any more time, but you also, it was this weird juxtaposition of, well, we want to grow and we get why this tool will help us do that, but we're too busy, we don't have time. And that was a really funny fork in the road. And at the time, it seemed like kind of the end of the business, actually. But we were really fortunate. We had a marketing agency call us and say, hey, we have a co-customer in common. We'd love to see what you're doing for them, which at the time was very confusing to us because it was sort of like, why would we want to talk to somebody who's not a customer of ours, right? But what ended up happening here is that, and it's ironic that you have Robin on the screen because that's who called us, Rob and Alex, our now third co-founder. But he ran a marketing agency, and what he really did fundamentally is teach us that the best way to help small businesses is to help the people helping small businesses. And so at the time, where we got started there was the big rage was sort of in the marketing space was, run Facebook ads, generate leads, and then, huzzah, you can sell these leads to all kinds of businesses. But it turns out that there was a big fundamental flaw there. So while thousands and thousands of people were running around being Facebook ads people, what was really missing there is they would run an ad to a landing page or to a lead ad, capture the lead, put it on a spreadsheet, and then hand it over to the customer. And the issue with that was that the customer, was a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, and they would get sort of like this spreadsheet of leads, and they would sort of do nothing with them. And then at the end of the month, they would sort of say, well, why didn't any of these people come and buy my stuff or sign up with me or whatever? And it turns out the missing link was the nurture flow, which really was, hey, you fill out the lead ad, and then someone contacts you and then gets you to kind of take a step. Most of the time is to book an appointment. And so that's the gap we filled. So we came in and we automated that flow mostly through SMS text messaging. That was really our first foray. And what we fundamentally did for those agencies was we radically lowered their churn rates, because all of a sudden they weren't delivering spreadsheets of names, phone numbers, and emails. They were delivering booked appointments, which was radically more useful and important to the businesses they were serving. And that was kind of where we got our start. And then we kind of vertically integrated from there. And that was, 6 years ago. Now it's amazing, time flies. And now we are, we grew this out into a full-fledged system. Again, really serving our customers. I mean, our customers, what we realized initially was, hey, they use all these different pieces of software. Let's see if we can replace them all in one stack, which we sort of started to do. And then we watched our customers, as always, teach us new things, which is they said, hey, we're actually selling this bundled together, because it's always been a white labeled, and I can kind of talk through why that happened, but they started bundling this out and selling it on a monthly recurring basis. And I watched this happen. And really that was them becoming a SaaS company. And as I talked to them about how that was influencing their businesses, it was radically lowering their churn yet again. And it was giving them a whole nother revenue stream they didn't have before. And so we eventually just created this model internal to the product, and eventually created a whole movement around it called being a SaaSpreneur. And that really has taken us kind of on this journey to where we are today.
There's a couple things I want to unpack here, right? I still want to go on this kind of feature evolution. I do want to talk about the white label piece, and also the co-founder piece, right? So you start with a co-founder, and as you just mentioned, you brought on another founder with Robin. Talk about how that worked, because you could have just probably had like a high-level partnership with them and they just used you. So talk about what happened.
Well, I mean, it's pretty extraordinary, actually. And, I'll have people often ask me, hey, I want to find a co-founder. Can you help me find one? And the answer is no, I can't, because the story behind Robin is the story behind both my co-founders are, in my opinion, quite incredible, and, only took a lifetime to happen. So my first co-founder, Varun, who's still our CTO today, I met him. I hired him for his first job many years ago in India, and at a totally different company. And he was the best software engineer I had ever met. And we kept in touch over many years. And when I wanted to start HighLevel, I knew that I needed an amazing co-founder, and so I reached out to him. And he was otherwise engaged on a really terrible, crappy idea. To which I told him, look, call me when this thing fails. And he's the kind of guy that doesn't take offense to that. And sure enough, it failed, and he called me back. So that was that one. And he was nutty enough to go on the journey with me, of course, which was at the time a very crazy idea. And then Robin, for his part, yeah, he cold called us, and that was awesome. And he bought it for his agency and this and that. But he saw the vision behind it. He basically put his agency on autopilot and spent 2 years flying around the country, introducing me to everybody that he had met over 10 years of being in the marketing space, and doing all of it for no money, and no equity and no promise of anything. And basically, he got to a point where Varun and I woke up one day, and it was so embarrassing that we hadn't made him a co-founder or gave him equity, and we thought how stupid we had been. But he was just such an amazing human being, and he believed so thoroughly in what we were doing that he didn't care. And so we of course absolutely made him a co-founder, and gave him equity and all that stuff. But again, I don't think you can repeat that performance. I've never before or since heard an example of such a committed and altruistic individual. And so I think that's what makes him so special. So for me, that's how we've wound up together. And I couldn't have thought of two other human beings that I'd rather run a business with than those two. So it's pretty extraordinary. I find myself quite lucky.
Yeah, Shaun, as it's maybe not repeatable, everyone's journey is different, but one thing that sticks out to me is you're always on the lookout for talent, right? And you kind of file that away. So other people I'm sure there's other people that worked with Varun and did not really file this person's the best CTO I've ever dealt with. I'm going to do something with them someday. And you filed it away of note to self, when I do software, I'm bringing this person on. So, whether it was consciously or subconsciously. And I love Robin's probably ethos. I don't know Robin, but it's something I try and work on, which is just giving to people and not expecting anything in return, and just helping, especially when you believe in something so much. And that's, Robin just went out to deliver value for you and the company. And it was it's created that opportunity.
100%. Yeah. It was pretty extraordinary.
When you started, did you bootstrap or did you decide to raise money?
Well, I mean, we're not well-connected individuals. So yeah, we bootstrapped and honestly, we're actually, I mean, it probably took 6 months and all of our savings, but we got to a place where we were profitable fairly early on. So we've subsequently been profitable the entire time. So we have raised twice, but we've raised private equity rounds, which are radically different than venture capital rounds. The big difference is private equity invests in larger, more established and profitable companies holistically. And so in both cases, these were minority rounds, so we still control the company. And in both cases, it gave us an opportunity to really pay back our employees, because we have had some very long-term committed individuals who otherwise bypassed better short-term cash paying jobs or other events to go on with us. And I felt like in both cases, it was my responsibility to give them some option to do something extraordinary. And these are big life-changing moments for every one of these people. It's buy their first house, or take that dream vacation, or whatever it might be. So it's very important to me to give them that option. And the private equity rounds kind of served that purpose. Plus, we had a great opportunity, honestly, given that neither of us as co-founders have ever run a company this big. It was a really awesome opportunity to connect with people who had and bring them on board and really incentivize them to help us grow. And we've gotten really amazing feedback and coaching on kind of how to do that or how it's done, and learned a lot along the way. So it's been a win-win.
Talk about the evolution of the team, right? It's the two of you to start. How did the team grow from there?
Let's see. Well, and then our first official employee, who's still with us, was the head of support. I mean, we've always known support was integral to this. The best software in the world with no support is irrelevant. And so we've always prided ourselves in having really, honestly, we do Zoom-based support to this day. So you can jump on a Zoom call with any of our support people, and we find that that makes an extraordinary difference. And so that human to human connection is important to us. So we hired Ian. So and I worked with Ian because when InvoiceSherpa got bought, he was actually one of the employees that the acquirers hired. And it was funny, for a very long time. I was remote at the time, and they couldn't imagine how anyone remotely could do work. So he basically was almost like my jail minder for a long time. He would sit on a Zoom call and watch me work to make sure that I was doing something and not just taking these people's money, which is funny.
Chaperone.
Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, so he was our first employee, and he now runs the entire support org, which is now, gosh, 500-600 people deep. So it's quite a large part of our company today.
So we have the customer support department led by Ian. What other departments are?
Oh, I mean, these days we have every department you could imagine. So, marketing, affiliate management, CFO, this is finance. I mean, we have 1,600 employees now. So, you name it, we got it.
I want to talk about customer support and affiliate management, because you have these evangelists, and I think you have a really innovative way of running customer support. And I don't think you're being modest about it right now, but it's a very interesting model because you do like group onboarding and almost group queue customer support. Can you talk about how that works and how you came up with it?
Well, yeah. So it's interesting that you kind of see it as a group model. I sort of see it as one-on-one, because these days, if you sign up, you can jump on a Zoom call and you get an onboarding call one-on-one on Zoom with an onboarding specialist 24/7, 365. And these are all our employees, of course, and that is all and we have 3 distinct teams. So we have sort of that initial onboarding, and the goal there is to acclimate you, to get you kind of initially going, and then and really try to help you achieve sort of those early sort of actions that we know sort of correspond later on down the line to success. And sort of once you get through that, we have a whole team that we sort of think of as like the 90-day team. And their mission is just to kind of further go deeper into now your kind of really specific use cases and kind of get you going. And then we finally have the third team, which is sort of generalized support, where we feel like, okay, you're kind of off and running and you're doing your thing, but as you go, you're going to run into questions or things you need help with, and then you still have them as a resource. But at each point, there's individualized support. So you drop the way it works today is you drop into a Zoom room that is sort of like, we think of it as like a lobby, and then basically somebody comes out and grabs you and you jump into a one-on-one Zoom room. And we feel like we offer, some people actually, I always find this, well, maybe I shouldn't find it too ironic these days, but some people actually don't like that. So we definitely offer, self-service and help docs and even chat support and all of that. We have phone support, et cetera, et cetera. But I find that when really push comes to shove and you've got a real issue, being able to actually see another human being face to face, and being able to share your screen like this and really walk through your issue, really allows, honestly, I think both sides to win, because I've seen support tickets go back and forth, 60, 100 times over, really around things that could have easily been resolved on a screen share session. So, we really think of it as the superior model. And, honestly, I like all great ideas that I have, I tend to get them from other people. And in that case, it was really just, I walked into a Verizon wireless store and I loved how, as soon as I walked in, someone walked up and greeted me and checked me in and sort of gave me some expectation around how long it would take me to get served. And while, you could sort of bemoan the fact that, you don't get instant service. You don't get instant service anywhere. There's just a supply demand constraint. But I love the fact that I at least felt like I was paid attention to. I had some expectation of versus I felt like other stores I'd gone into, you sort of like hang around and look around the store and try to locate someone who's open. And it's just sort of this weird process. And and then the other thing is the order could get out of whack. Maybe I look down at the new iPhone and I'm engaged there, and all of a sudden somebody who walked in after me gets help first. And I'm like, hey, so it's like this weird disjointed experience versus the Verizon experience. They even would give, like, if you want to go like grab a Starbucks, they would give you like this little buzzer. I mean, I just felt like that. Wow, what a nice, of all the experiences to have. So I thought, well, how can we replicate that for ourselves? And so that's kind of how we got to the model we have today.
Yeah, no, I feel like innovation comes from outside industry, and I don't know if Verizon came up with it, but definitely the Apple stores.
I'm sure they denied it, right?
The Apple stores started doing it, and yeah, when I referred that, it's like almost, I guess, a group queue, and then they kind of. But I find people are in there being helpful even in the group queue area,
this is what I noticed too. Like, it's funny. I don't count myself as a very social person. But I noticed that in the context of like the Verizon store or the Apple store or whatever, you'll kind of chit chat your neighbor. And I thought, well, even if you don't resolve their issue, right, it's not really designed for that. Maybe just meet somebody, make a connection. So I thought, well, that's what a cool side attribute of kind of that lobby experience.
Totally. And I've not seen any SaaS company do that, right? I mean, you enter into your group queue and then you're paid attention to right away. And it's like, obviously like 24 hours a day, and then you get put in and getting your specific individual questions answered from a live person. And it's like not this faceless help desk ticket. So obviously people can, email or get the help docs, but I love that really personal touch. And you could tell that HighLevel really pays a lot of attention to customer support based on that. It's a really nice model.
Really important to us. And I guess these days we can start to really think about we value community quite a bit. I would say, and so I think that's a really great example of how we feel like we foster community even through that support process. Having that lobby experience. I think what's always important for people to think through is like, well, getting like that specific question answered is super important. Don't get me wrong. Oftentimes the end that person is looking for is way more than just a, hey, what button do I click kind of question. It's sort of, how do I get to an outcome? And, while customer support will do its darndest to try to help answer that, a lot of times talking to other customers is actually a better experience because they've actually achieved those outcomes. And it's amazing how people will share with each other in such a positive way if you put them in the right circumstances. And so I think that lobby experience, and we do this with our Facebook group, with our live events, all kinds of other places, but it's amazing how people will come together to support each other to help get those outcomes. And I think that's what's kind of special about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's also just a social proof element, like, oh, I'm in there and there's like 100 other people who are using this in there too. So there's that as well. I feel like, Shaun, I mean, you have enough to work on with HighLevel. I feel like companies like Zoom should literally hire you and your company to figure out how they should run their customer support. Because I'm like, they're just losing money, right? I mean, there's times when I'm like emailing them or whatever. I'm like,
does Zoom not use Zoom for support?
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, no. Yeah, I try. Yeah, I guess I feel like I don't really run into this model in other places.
Like I got, I was like ready to buy like more of like many more seats, and it just wasn't an easy experience on how to add or talk to someone. I'm like, you just hire Shaun, like they'll help you like integrate.
Yeah, it's why we all yell agent, into the IPR, right? Because we just know
support. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
It's funny because I really it struck me because these days the self-service options are so good that I feel like the only time you call is where you've already tried, and it's just not easy, right? So it's almost like the IVRs have like they were all set up 10 years ago. And so they sort of try to get you to weed through all the paths. But really these days it's just go right to a live agent because those call volumes have gone way down. And the reason why is because you've already been trained. Like go to the mobile app first or go to the website first, try to do it yourself first. But then when that particular combination of the thing isn't there, you're on a call. So they should just let you through. Because that's kind of where we're all at. But of course they'll probably never do that. But that's the problem. It creates friction. People don't like it. It's a terrible experience. And you never know who's calling in. But most of the time it's people who pay you money or want to pay you money. So they're pretty important folks. So you kind of want to pick up.
So they should hire you for a lot of money and help revamp the customer support.
Oh, no, thanks.
That's my plug. Let's talk about evangelists for a second. I mean, you have, if I put something, hey, what do you think of HighLevel on Facebook? I'll get like 57 people responding, and it's pretty amazing. I don't know if you want to start off and talk about Clay for a second, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a good example, Clay Lawrence. So I don't know where he started his journey, to be honest, but I know where he is today. So he's an agency owner. He does an amazing job. He's a fun guy because he sort of is the guy who takes my advice of, hey, just, you can run an entire business off one feature. He's made all of his money off of reputation management. So despite the fact that HighLevel has 10,000 features, he is quite happy to have one and do well with it. And I applaud him for it. But he's obviously he's then since graduated and become sort of an influencer. And I think his mission is to talk about his journey, and he does a really good job trying to help teach other people kind of how to do what he does. And I think it's cool because he's willing to see the world as a very big place, and he's not he doesn't think he's minting competitors. He thinks that there's just so much business out there for everybody. But he's a great example of somebody who who speaks highly not just teaches a business model and helps you learn it, but also helps you understand how HighLevel can kind of connect with that business model and enable it. And so he's a great example of someone who I've seen go from agency owner to SaaSpreneur and now to kind of influencer and coach. And so I think he's a pretty cool guy that way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you do, I mean, you have this really robust community that helps people implement. It also helps you with customer support because they're going to their the agency.
They help us with everything. I would say they are easily 50% of what makes our company great. So our community is everything to us. Again, kind of like these days, I said earlier, without great customer service, the best software in the world doesn't matter. But I would start to say that also without a great, robust community, the best support and the best software don't matter. It's really part and parcel of it. You have to have a great community. And for us, it's awesome because selfishly, our community are our customers, and they really tell us, everything they want in the software, how they want it. And, we listen to that community. In fact, we don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to build next. We really just ask the community to tell us. We have this really cool voting system where people can just vote up the ideas that they like. And we literally take those votes based on total number, whatever has the highest votes, we walk it down. And every quarter we pull those ideas off and build them. That's kind of how we operate the entire business.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that up right here. Anyone could go to ideas.gohighlevel.com. So if you have an idea, you can add it, but you could also vote on ideas. And this is where they're pulling from. And it's, community based. And it kind of goes back into, how you kind of figured out this model, which is just listening to the clients and customers like Robin, who was like, hey, this is, I mean, not just from a features perspective, but from a influencer, affiliate perspective as well. So people can check this out, and
it's pretty cool. And and again, I think the position we've always tried to take everywhere we go is that we're not the experts. That there are smarter people out there that know the domain of what we're trying to achieve best. I always call it strengths and weaknesses. We know our strength is engineering and product. But we know that our customer strength is sales, marketing, and CRM, and project management, and many other things. And so, if you just play your position and stay in your lane and listen to your customer, they will guide you where they want, where you should be going. I think where most people get into trouble is they have this sort of like ethos around, they have to be the end all be all solution for their customer, and that they know it all. And the reality is they don't. And I think they try to hire for it and bring in talent about it and this and that. But there is nothing like having somebody who is actually out in the real world every day making money doing something tell you how to do it. And if you just listen and you park your ego, amazing things can happen.
Yeah, so we're looking here. You can check it out to ideas.gohighlevel.com and see.
Yeah, if you click on any of those, just click on any of those categories.
Well, we'll click on, since we talked about voice AI, for example. I know that.
And it's zero says showing trending posts. Just hit trending and do top, and you'll see this is exactly what our product managers do. So the next feature up will be enable appointment booking for voice AI agents, and as you can see, it's in progress now. And then ability to train voice AI agents with URLs. That's planned for Q2. And down and down and down it'll go.
Nice. Yeah, and if you look at the other one, I guess in the roadmap, you can go down and see what's planned, in progress, complete. So there's a lot of transparency on what is being worked on. So I love this model as well. I want to talk about, with Clay, I love how he just really focused in on one feature.
Yep.
But talk about the affiliate program. I mean, you had to build
Sure.
this and figure
100%.
out kind of the pricing and the model, what makes sense for you and also for the partner. Talk
Yeah,
about what you did here.
I'm super proud of the affiliate program. So we give away 40% recurring for life of any sale somebody brings in. And actually, we need to update that number. It's now over 100 million. And why I think this is super important is because when you have people going out and, first and foremost, the best affiliates for us are customers. They have to use the product. They have to like the product. We don't do well and never have and never will with people who aren't our customers. But once they're our customer, if they're willing to go out, and it doesn't matter whether they're big or small. So this is something that's really important. All of us know somebody who we will evangelize a product to. We all do this all day long, every day. But the reality is when you are willing to go out and use your reputation, and in some cases, these people have some very big podiums to speak from to talk about our product. The last thing we're going to do is take any advantage of that and not recognize the value that they bring us. And so this program really is just incentivized word of mouth at the end of the day. I'm proud to say I think that 99% of these people would talk about us irregardless. But I refuse to not recognize the value of what they bring, whether it's one friend who they know that they bring to the platform or thousands of people that they bring to the platform. And so this really is just a way to say thank you to all of those people who are willing to put their reputation out there in the world on our behalf.
Yeah. I do want to talk about the summit for a second.
Sure.
Before we
Yeah.
get to that, just to take a look at go highlevel.com and look at just some of the features that they have here. And I love how you have this documented on here's the feature, here's what it replaces, and then here's the monthly fee or monthly cost of those other tools. And so people can check that out on the homepage. But I do want to talk about, from a thought leadership perspective and content perspective, you're always out there talking and your team is. Talk about the decision to have a summit, right? Because it is a big decision. It's a lot of time, energy, and money.
I recall the very first time we did it. I mean, I was as frightened as it gets, and I will say every year I peek out from behind the curtain, and I hope there's somebody out there, in those seats. But once we realized that we had to come up with a model that could help people, not just use software, right? So I guess this is what really did it for me was, most summits or annual events are all about, hey, check us out, we're amazing, look at all these new features, look at how to use them, this and that. But what we did is we found a model that helps people make a lot more money. And once we realized that we were doing that in earnest and we were doing that at a very big level, we really wanted to make sure that we could share that with people. And so we started off with some smaller events, and those were really successful. And we watched a lot of people come out away from those. There's a guy named Andy, and I remember I sat down with him and his wife at one of these events, and he said, "Okay, we've come here to really change our world and adopt this new SaaSpreneur model and learn about this." And then I'm telling him all about it and how to do it. And right in the middle of it, he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry to stop you. My biggest client, they pay me $50,000 a month. They've got a big problem. I got to step away." And so his wife's sitting there at the table, and I look at her and I say, "Look, this is exactly your problem. You paid to come to this event. You're here right now. I am giving you the best I got, and yet you are so stuck in this old model that you just lost half of your crew to a phone call, and you're missing out on all of this. The whole point of being here is you need a new business model." And when he came back, of course, I said the same thing. And to his credit, he went out, adopted the model of being a SaaSpreneur, dropped his $50,000 client, which was a big deal to him. But now I am proud to say he has scaled measurably. Now he has hundreds of customers paying him every month, and none of them will be able to get him to leave a meeting like that ever again, because none of them pay him 50 grand a month. He's not a slave to those people anymore. And yet all of his customers still love him. He's still providing amazing value, and he's a much more scalable business. He goes on vacation now, whereas he did not before. And he is off to amazing things. And now I've seen this happen to more than just Andy. I've seen it happen to hundreds and hundreds of people. And so that is exactly what this event is all about. It's really about bringing people together to teach them that model, to help them grow in their business. In fact, Andy's actually right in the middle there. You just scroll down a little bit. He's in the middle column. 1, 2, 3. There he is with his wife right there. That's Andy.
Nice.
So that, they've gone on to do just amazing things, and we've seen this now with lots of other people, and we want to bring people together and celebrate it. Plus, one of the things I'm also proud of is we bring together the who's who of speakers in the marketing business, and the coolest part about them is, yeah, they get up on stage and they talk and they're awesome, but they also hang around after the show because we keep the size of this thing such that they actually want to stick around and hang out. So if you want to meet any of these people, they'll be at the bar afterwards, they'll be at the after party, and you can actually meet them and talk to them. So it's a pretty cool event that way.
I know we're right at time here, Shaun, but could you tell me a few of the fan favorite speakers? Or we're looking at obviously 2024. This 2023.
I love Billie Jean. So here's what's fun about this, right? I mean, everybody is different. I love Billie Jean personally. I think he's a fan favorite. He also has wicked humor. He can offend the heck out of people. I don't get offended very easily, so I love that. But then there are also some really classic people like Ryan Dice. He started Digital Marketer. He started Traffic Conversions. I mean, he's really influential and he's amazing. But this is the fun part. Again, we try to bring together such a great collection of people, and that fundamentally there's somebody here. I always tell people, look, even if you hate HighLevel, you don't want to ever use us, you think we're terrible people, we want this event to be so good and have such great people coming there that you would come just to see those people. And that's really what we strive for. I also think, unlike a lot of other people, at least in particular in our industry, these events, there's nothing for sale at these events. We make no money. We lose money on these events, but we do so proudly because we're there really to celebrate our customers and to make sure that we show them a good time, and we get good reviews on our events. I mean, we feed our people good food. And our annual event in October is big. I mean, we'll have 2,000 people there. So. It's funny, we could put 5,000 people in that room, but I like to cap it because I feel like you get much beyond 2,000 and things get lost in the weeds. You don't make great connections. It becomes kind of like a big, kind of run of the mill event. It's sort of not it's not who we are as people. So we really enjoy the way we do it. It's a lot more fun.
Shaun, I want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for sharing the journey. Everyone can check out gohighlevel.com to learn more. You can check out their YouTube channel. They have a lot of content as well. And check out the summit page that we talked about, summit.gohighlevel.com, for their next up and coming conference whenever you're listening to this, because they do attract some, amazing attendees and speakers as well. So there's a lot to learn just by observing what Shaun and his team do. And obviously there's a lot of cool features within Go High Level. So Shaun, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.